Hi students, today we do the MCQs related to the images in the lesson The Rise of Nationalism in Europe. Now the first one is a painting which is done in 1848, done by Frederick Sorio. You have to know the name. And you also need to know the name of the painting. That is The Dream of Worldwide Democratic and Social Republics, the Pact Between Nations. In this painting, Sorio is showing people just marching and worshipping or paying their respect to the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty has the Torch of Enlightenment in one hand, this Charter of Rights of Man in the other, and in front of the statue on the ground are the broken remains of the images of absolutist institutions. The images could be a crown which is broken, a spectre which a king uses, or the rod. So all those images, broken images, are there, showing that now we do not want absolutist institutions. And people are grouped, and you know who they are through the flag and the costumes they have. And again, in the sky, he's shown certain images. So now we do the MCQs or the questions. Name the artist who created this painting in 1848. It's Frederick Sorio. Then, which are the two nation states who are leading the procession and are way past the Statue of Liberty? That is, they have already passed it. It's United States and Switzerland. Now he has kept these two nation states ahead, much ahead, because when this painting was done, they were already nation states. Next, why Christ, saints and angels gaze upon the scene from the heavens in the painting? Why has he used these images? It is to symbolize fraternity. The next image is the cover of a German almanac designed by the journalist Andreas Rebmann in 1798. I'm just reading what is given. The image of the French Bastille being stormed by the crowd, and next to it the next picture is similar fortress meant to represent the bastion of a despotic rule in the German province of Kassel. There's a slogan which says, "The people must seize their own freedom." Rebmann lived in the city of Mainz, was a member of the German Jacobin group. For this image, go back to your 9th class. You have studied that the French people, they attacked the Bastille, for they linked the Bastille to the despotic rule of their monarch, and they attacked it. In a way saying that we don't want the king's rule to continue now. So they are attacking a symbol which is connected to the king. In this almanac cover, this journalist, he has shown the fortress which is in the German province of Kassel, and this fortress represents the bastion. Bastion is like a protector of the despotic rule. So he is saying that how the Bastille was attacked in France, similarly this fortress in Kassel also is a symbol of the king's rule. So if the people want their freedom, you have to attack the symbols of despotic power. And then the slogan is there. So now your question could be, this journalist Andreas Rebmann was a member of which group? It is the German Jacobin group. Next, what is the message in this cover? It is people must seize their own freedom. The next image shows you crowds of people on the streets, and there is a crowd in the center planting the tree of liberty. Tree of liberty is tree of freedom. And it is this is painted by the German painter Karl Kaspar Fritz. This painting is in context to the French armies who have gone and occupied the town of Zweibrücken. Now, how do you know that they are French? How do you know the soldiers are French? because the painter has made them wear blue, white and red uniforms, which is the color of the French tricolor. And the soldiers are shown as oppressors. He's shown it in three ways: forcibly taking away a peasant's cart, harassing, troubling women, and forcing a peasant down to his knees. And there is a plaque, a board is being affixed to the Tree of Liberty, and on it is written in the German language, "Take freedom and equality from us, the model of humanity." Now these words are actually used sarcastically in reference to the claim of the French that they are liberators who are opposing monarchy in the territories they entered. So we have learnt that the French armies went to neighboring places of Europe and they started conquering those territories. And in the beginning, the people felt that this is very good. We are getting freedom from the autocratic monarchs who are ruling over us. And they really felt that the French soldiers were bringing them liberty. But later on, they realized that they were absolutely wrong in their thinking. Because though the administrative reforms by the French was excellent, the arrangements in administration was very good, but it did not go hand in hand with political freedom. That is, a lot of the freedom of the people was taken away. That is why on this board they are writing, "You take away our freedom and equality, you all who consider yourselves the model, the example, the epitome of humanity." So it is in sarcasm. Now what could the question be? What is being depicted via this painting done by the German painter Karl Kaspar Fritz? A. French soldiers are harassing the people. Tree is the Tree of Liberty used as a sarcasm. C. Showing French were not really liberators who opposed monarchy in the territories they entered. Now, having listened to the entire explanation of this painting, you will realize that A, B and C are all accurate, all right. So the answer is D, all of the above. The next image is of a man. He is walking very, very swiftly and there are papers falling out of his bag. That is what you see. Now the explanation given is that the courier of Rhineland loses all that he has lost on his way home from Leipzig. This is like a title. The image is of Napoleon, shown as a postman going back to France after losing the battle at Leipzig or of Leipzig in 1813. The Battle of Leipzig actually considered to be one of the biggest battles fought in the Napoleonic Wars, and Napoleon was very badly defeated. So each letter out of the bag which is being dropped bears the name of the territories he has lost. So this is what the caricature tells you. Now remember, in the exams you may not be given this written part, you'll only be given the image. So you have to know, seeing this image, that he is Napoleon and what do these letters signify. So the question could be, identify the figure. 3 options, the answer is Napoleon. The next one, what do the letters dropping out of his bag signify? Now I've given you all the explanation, so when you read the choices, you know the right option is B. The next MCQ, in this image you see a table with men sitting around, but the surprising thing is they have worn a mask around their face. Now the caption is the club of thinkers. So thinkers, immediately you understand that it's a club of brilliant people, okay? And it's dating 1820. Now 1820 is a few years after the Vienna Treaty. That is the new conservative order set up, and in this conservative order the rulers were very, very autocratic. Freedom of press taken away, censorship laws, freedom of speech is not there. So via this caricature, the artist is trying to show all this in a sarcastic way. On the board that is to the left, it is written that the question of today's meeting is, how long will thinking be allowed to us? That speech has been taken away. Now how long will we be even allowed to think? And the rules are what? Silence is the commandment of this learned society. Learned society, that is a society of intelligent people, intellectuals. And when you are thinkers, you always want to put forward your views. But here it is, you have to be silent. The second is, if you are tempted to speak, if you give in to the temptation of a speech, then muzzles will be given on entering. So very sarcastically this has been put up. The MCQ is, what does the caricature dating 1820 symbolize? Freedom of press denied, censorship laws imposed, criticism of the new conservative order. Now listening to the explanation, you must have realized it is D, all of the above. The next MCQ. The members are wearing a mask. What is denoted via this? A. Trying to protect themselves from pollution. They have taken the vow of silence. Their thoughts and words are controlled by the government. The answer is C. The next MCQ. Identify this gentleman who is signing a few papers. Is it Mazzini, Garibaldi or Metternich? It is Mazzini. He was at that time signing papers regarding the founding of Young Europe in Bern. The next image shows a man with a whip in his hand, a hunter in his hand, and there are other people who are hiding behind their tables or putting their heads down and showing them in a very submissive way. It's written this person is Otto von Bismarck in the German Reichstag, 1870. So this man is with a whip in his hand, and a person who has the whip in his hand is always the master, the controller. Okay, so your question is, identify the figure. It's Otto von Bismarck. Second, how does it represent the relationship between Bismarck and the elected deputies of the parliament? What is the artist trying to show via this image? What is the relationship? What is he trying to tell? A. Though elected, all the control is with Bismarck. B. Elected deputies have no say in the parliament. C. Dominance of Bismarck over his deputies. D. All of the above. Very obvious, the answer is D. The next one with the same image. What interpretation of the democratic process is the artist conveying in the picture? A. The process is shallow and not strong. B. Process is being enacted in a circus. C. It is strong and under control. The answer is A. It's very shallow. It's weak. It's not strong. Because the elected deputies who have been elected by the people have absolutely no say in the parliament. All the control is with Bismarck. So your democracy is not strong. In the next image, the caption is The Massacre at Chillon by Eugène Delacroix, 1824. He is a French painter, a very important French romantic painter. Here he shows an incident which happened on the island of Chillon, in which it is said that 20,000 Greeks were killed by the Turks. And he's showing the suffering of women and children, trying to appeal to the emotions of the spectators and create sympathy for the Greeks. Now see the date, it's 1824, and we know 1832 was when the Treaty of Constantinople was signed and Greece became an independent nation. And they started their struggle in 1821, and this painting is 1824. And Greece was under the Ottoman Empire and they wanted freedom from them. So here the question is, name the painting and the painter. Painting is Massacre at Chillon and the painter is Eugène Delacroix. What is Delacroix trying to appeal via the painting? A. Create sympathy for the Greeks, create sympathy for the Turks, or create sympathy for the Slavs. It is A, for the Greeks, create sympathy for them. In the next image, you see a beautiful hall-like structure, and this is the Church of St. Paul where the Frankfurt Parliament was convened. On the upper floor, you see people. These are the women who were standing in the visitors' gallery. As they could not enter as representatives for voting rights were not given to them. Then you see the allegory of Germany, that is Germania, which is hung from the ceiling of St. Paul, the Church of St. Paul. This painting was painted by the artist Philip Wheat. Now the questions could be, which structure is shown in this image? Palace of Versailles in France, Hall of Mirrors, or the Frankfurt Parliament in the Church of St. Paul? It is C, the Frankfurt Parliament. The next image shows a very beautiful frame within which there is a picture. This is the proclamation of the German Empire in the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles. At the center stands the Kaiser. The Kaiser means the king, the emperor. And then there is the chief commander of the Prussian Army, that is General von Roon. And of course there is Bismarck. Now this painting was gifted to Bismarck when he completed his 70th birthday in 1885. And we know Germany was a nation state by 1871. So it's after that. But this picture is the coronation ceremony which was being held in the unheated Hall of Mirrors. So now your question could be, which ceremony is being shown in the image? Coronation of Louis Philippe in the Hall of Mirrors, proclamation of the German Empire in the Hall of Mirrors, or Frederick William IV being crowned? The answer is B, because it cannot be A, and it cannot be C, because Frederick William IV had rejected the crown in 1848, and this is proclamation of the German Empire. The next, who was the chief commander of the Prussian Army? Otto von Bismarck? No, he was the architect of the German unification. He was the chief minister, you could say, of Prussia. Cavour is related to Italy, so no. The answer is General von Roon. The next image is absolutely brilliant, and it is one of my favorite caricatures. It shows two people, one standing, one on the knees. The one standing has a crown, so you know he's a royal personage. And you see him wearing a boot. And if you look carefully, the word Italy is written on it. On the foreground is a sword also. The one sitting is Garibaldi, and the one standing is Victor Emmanuel II. Now we know that Garibaldi had, along with his forces, armed volunteers, and with the support of the local peasants, managed to drive away the Spanish kings from southern Italy. And he's taken control of it. And already earlier in the year, earlier in 1859, Cavour, with the help of France, had defeated the Austrian forces. So North Italy had come to Victor Emmanuel II, who was the ruler of Sardinia, Piedmont. Now Garibaldi has won South Italy too. So if you see the boot, you wear it from down. So that is the south part of your body. The head is the north. So he is making him wear this boot, showing that now South Italy is also yours. I'm giving it to you. What could the MCQs be in this? Who is the person who is standing in the image? Cavour, Victor Emmanuel II, or Garibaldi? It's Victor Emmanuel II. Who is the person sitting on his knees? Mazzini, Garibaldi, or Germania? It's Garibaldi. What is the significance of the caricature? South Italy is now a part of unified Italy. B, helping Victor Emmanuel II to wear his boot. C, Victor Emmanuel II showing his superiority by kicking Garibaldi. The answer is A, Southern Italy now a part of unified Italy. Before we do the next MCQ, I first explain what is an allegory. Allegory is an abstract idea expressed through a person or a thing. Abstract means when it is not clear, there is no clarity, it is vague. So here, emotions like greed, envy, or freedom, liberty, these actions, they are not very clear because you can't associate them with an image. Like if somebody tells you cupboard, you immediately show a picture of a cupboard and you can associate this is a cupboard. But it doesn't happen with these. So in those days, the nation was portrayed as a female figure. So now this first MCQ is, you see the profile of a lady, identify the allegory. The answer is Marion, allegory of France. The next MCQ again shows you a standing woman, and there are many other attributes which we'll go into later. Now this is the allegory of Germania, that is of the German nation. So Germany's allegory is this woman and her name is Germania. Now if you look very carefully, you will see on the ground broken chains. It's not very clear. Now this painting was painted by Philip Wheat in the year 1848. Years are very important to associate. 1848, Frankfurt Parliament, Constitution drafted, monarchs subject to the Parliament. That is, the monarch's absolutist rule would be over. So here these broken chains show a symbol of being freed. So Philip Wheat has kept this broken chain on the ground to symbolize being freed. The next image shows you a group of images. These are the attributes of Wheat's Germania. Wheat is the painter. Each of them has a meaning behind it. The broken chains, being freed. Breastplate with eagle, symbol of the German Empire, strength. Crown of oak leaves, heroism. Sword, readiness to fight. Again a sword, but there's an addition, an olive branch round it. That means willingness to make peace. Black, red and gold tricolor. Flag of the Liberal Nationalists in 1848. Rays of the rising sun. Beginning of a new era. The next MCQ shows you a fallen woman sleeping on the ground. The caption is The Fallen Germania. It's painted by Julius Herbner in 1850. The year is very important. 1850 is just after the Frankfurt Parliament was disbanded. And here the artist is showing that Germania, which is the allegory of the German state, is very dejected, has lost all hope, because the elected representatives had really put in a lot of efforts, drafted the constitution, and with the monarch at the head, subject to the parliament. But when the crown was offered to Frederick William IV, he rejected it. So this shows the disappointment of Germania, where all the efforts to create a United Nations state had been shattered. So here the question could be that what historical event is being referred to? The answer is failure of the Frankfurt Parliament. 3 options are there. C is the answer. The next question could be, which emotion is depicted? It is loss of hope. Again, if you carefully see, you have the crown and the standard, the royal standard on the ground. So showing that Germania is very disappointed that Frederick William IV, the monarch, had not accepted the terms of the Frankfurt Parliament. Now come to the next image. This is a very famous painting by the artist Lawrence Klassen. It is captioned Germania guarding the Rhine. Here if you see Germania, her stance, her posture is one full of determination and belief. See the sword. There is no olive branch round the sword. So only the sword is readiness to fight. We have learnt that before. Now here the inscription is German sword protects the German Rhine. That is what is written on the sword. Now this was painted because France was making a lot of noise that we want to capture the territories on the other side of the Rhine. The Rhine River is like a border between Germany and France. So France wanted this part of the river Rhine too. That time this painting was painted by this painter. Now the questions could be, who is the artist who has painted this image? Delacroix, Frederick Sorio or Lawrence Classen? It's C. Next, what is the inscription on the sword? The answer is, the German sword protects the German Rhine. Now once the explanation of the image is done, any question that comes, I'm sure you will be able to answer this. So these are all the picture images, the image MCQs of nationalism in Europe.